Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Think Clinical podcast. My name is Hamza. It's good to be here. Today we will be talking about a very important topic, and if you haven't done so already, please remember to subscribe, like, and share. We'll be looking deeper into some of the topics that people often ignore, and I've experienced this so many times, so I have to talk about some of these things that would come back to bite you as a founder, especially if you're a clinician. So let's talk about clinicians today. Let's talk about the fact that you are a doctor, you finish medical school and you decide to start your own practice or your own hospital, and for some reason now you get trapped in what we call the experts trap. How do you break away from that? So what is the experts trap? And basically what you need to understand is that when founders, especially clinicians, believe that their personal expertise is what is their only competitive advantage. This might apply to other parts of healthcare entrepreneurship, but I'm just going to use this in the context of healthcare because I have experienced this, where you feel like your personal expertise is the only competitive advantage that you have against everybody. So you have to be able to look at these and be able to understand that there's a way. They have a way of creating a bottleneck where growth requires like your direct involvement in the business. So that's just the experts trap. So when you look at clinicians, for instance, your clinical expertise, which is the very thing that made you successful, could become your biggest barrier when it comes to you growing your business or you growing your practice. So how do you know you've been or you are caught in the experts trap? There are 4 things that you have to look at for. 1, if patients specifically come into your hospital and request for you, you are in that expert trap. That's the first thing. The second one is that when staff defer all clinical decisions to you and have been in that situation so many times, then it means you're in the experts trap. It means you are the competitive advantage. You believe that your personal expertise is the only competitive advantage you have, so it is going to restrain or restrict your growth. 3, quality drops when you're absent. So anytime I was away, I could understand that things happened that I was the only one who could fix. So quality would drop when you are away. And the 4th one is that you are working in your business, not on your business. So you, as the founder of the company, instead of working on your business, you're working in your business. Think about that. So these are some of the things that you need to start thinking about when it comes to whether or not you have those warning signs of being in that experts trap. If patients are specifically asking or requesting for only you, that's a problem. If staff defer all clinical decisions to you, that's a warning sign. If the quality drops when you are absent, that's another big warning sign. And if you are working in your business instead of working on your business, that's another warning sign. So how do we look at this? So studies show that 80% of single provider practices never expand beyond the founder. So the founder becomes the ceiling instead of the foundation of that business. So the business dies with you as the founder when you are no longer in existence. So because you did not build a framework for it to be able to thrive beyond you as a founder. So how do we replicate this? What is the replication framework for this? You need to start looking at all the things that are hinged on you. One of the big ones as a clinician will be the clinical decisions. So you need to build what we call a clinical decision tree. That's how you replicate everything that you do. Because once you get stuck in the, instead of just you know what to do, you create documented pathways where you're able to say, okay, if patient X comes with these symptoms and has Y risk factors, and you found this on examination, you have to do the following investigations. When you find this in this investigation, so you're creating contingencies, you're creating decision trees that will guide clinical practice. In that case, one of the warning signs that you are going to eliminate is staff who defer, especially associate doctors who defer to you for all clinical decisions to be made. The second thing is you have to adopt the teaching multiplier. You need to transform your expertise into training models. So if you have, for instance, one orthopedic founder or you are just a single founder, whatever specialty it could be, you can create what we call video libraries, and these would clearly explain what your decision making process looks like, and you're able to really help people understand how your thinking is. It allows your associates to think like you without having or you being present. So in that case, the second one is where quality drops when you are absent goes away. The third one is quality assurance systems, but you have to build processes that maintain your standards without requiring your presence. So you have to think about businesses like McDonald's. How do they maintain the standard throughout every single McDonald's without whoever started McDonald's being present? So these are some of the things that you need to look out for. You need to look at how you can replicate your clinical decision making process. You need to look at how you can create teaching multipliers where you do videos on how your thinking process looks like. And you need to put quality assurance systems are always important to make sure that your quality or the service that you provide doesn't drop just because you're away. Now, let's look at the delegation spectrum, because before you can actually grow your business or go beyond a certain point, you need to learn how to delegate. But delegation comes at 3 levels. So first of all, you have what we call task delegation. Task delegation is that I'm telling you to do this specific thing. So I'm delegating to you, but I'm telling you exactly what I want you to do. Okay, that's level 1. At level 2, we have outcome delegation, which means I'm telling you to achieve this result however you think best. So I have an outcome. I don't care how you get to the outcome, but I have a specific outcome that I want you to achieve. Okay, the third level is what we call strategic delegation, which is where you should be. Now, when you look at most founders, they're stuck in the first level, which is task delegation. They're telling you specifically what to do. Now, where you need to get to as a founder who is trying to build their business is strategic delegation, where you say, own this entire process, own this entire area, and report back, which means you have the opportunity to coach. You have the opportunity to help people that work for you to be able to get better. Now, when you move beyond that, now you're going into a space where we are talking about you now building the clinical brain trust, which has 3 pillars. You have the lead clinician, who could be you because you're the founder and you're the decision maker who needs to replicate judgment. You have people who champion quality, and these are staff who are just obsessed with maintaining standards. And you have the third level of people who are culture builders. So when you identify these 3 people, the quality champions, the lead clinicians, and you look at the culture carriers, who are the people who embody your patient's care philosophy, then you are able to now expand your business. Please do not hire people because do not hire people who need you. You have to hire people who can replace specific aspects of you. You are human, you have limitations, you have things that you could improve on. You have to find people who have the capability to be able to replace some of the things that you do. And always 70% rule. If someone can do a task 70% as well as you, delegate it. The power of delegation is very important, especially when you're trying to build your business. And when they can do 70% of what you can do, or as well as you can do it, delegate it. You can actually coach such people to do it 90% as well as you do it. And it's only if you are not doing it yourself, only if you give them the opportunity to be coached through the process. So the express drop isn't broken by working harder. Most people think I have to come in early and I have to bust my back to make this happen. It's broken by thinking different. You need to start thinking about the resources you have around you and the resources that you actually bring into the company, especially your human resource. Your expertise should scale through systems and people, not through your personal time. Please remember that the goal isn't to be indispensable. The goal is to build something that is indispensable without you. Ladies and gentlemen, again, this is another episode of the Think Clinical Podcast. If you haven't done so already, please remember to subscribe, like, and share, and we will see you in our next episode.